Time for a look at your West Tennessee forecast with meteorologist Brian Davis.
Welcome in, everyone. Meteorologist Brian Davis here with a look at your weather. We got a pretty decent day today. There will be a few isolated storms, mainly over in our westernmost counties near the Mississippi River, but most of today looks good. We do have some storms coming through later this evening, in mainly to the overnight hours. We're going to take a good look at Futurecast and what we're expecting as we head into tonight. There will be some strong storms as it looks right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at our watches and warnings. We're looking good there. Nothing to worry about right now. So that's a good thing when you look out there and you don't see any warnings like, just off to the west right now. 84 right now in Memphis. We've got 82 and looks pretty good there in Savannah. Kind of a hazy sunshine, but not a bad way to start our Friday. 81 at UT Martin. Looking really nice there. And also just really nice day here in the Ripley area too. Really nice view looking across there towards the west. So still looking good in those western counties here too as we're moving towards that early afternoon hour here. Looking at 82 in Dresden, 81 in Paris and Camden. We got 82 in Parsons, 86 in Selmer right now. Somerville coming in at 82, as well as Covington, and Ripley coming in at 84. Alamo checking in at 82 this hour. Winds are out of the south at about 10 miles per hour. Typical feature, ahead of the storms. The winds have turned from being more out of the north the last couple of days to now more out of the south, ahead of an approaching system that we're going to take a look at here in just a moment. Here's a look at the radar. Now, none of these storms here are severe. You're not seeing any of the yellow, orange, or the red boxes. These are just kind of garden variety, and they have been weakening and fizzling out as they move through. This is going to be the first round, and this is mainly why we got the isolated shower or thunderstorm in there as we head into the later afternoon hours. But right now, it's mainly just some on and off sunshine and cloud mix going on. Most of this activity will break down before it even gets here. The first round, that is. And you can see the good news, too. Very little lightning in this, too. You really have to go on up into, like, Illinois. That's where I'm seeing some lightning. Eastern portions of Missouri. But overall, things are looking pretty good. This is still a developing system. And we're expecting a kind of broken, linear line of storms that's going to come through mainly late tonight, 11 p.m. They'll be on the approach of the western counties here. And we'll take a look at that on Futurecast also coming up and get you well ahead on the timing with this event. I think the models have been handling pretty good on this system, unlike some of our more recent systems of the past few weekends. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward. We'll take a look at the surface map. So we do have a little bit of a warm front lifting up across the area today, quickly approaching cold front and an area of low pressure that's going to develop right over us into the all this is going to take place overnight tonight. Then the cold front sweeps right back through that slightly warmer air that's coming in today. And then we cool right back down. So you can see on the replay here, this is a fast setup. Warm front lifts in late this afternoon, quickly followed by a cold front, surface low pressure area, and the winds in a few thousand feet up are going to be cranking up too. So that's why we could get those strong thunderstorms. I don't look for much in the way of severe storms, but maybe one or two severe storms would be possible in the viewing area. Mainly into the midnight to about 1 a.m. time. That would be when we'd be most likely to see something like that. But I think most of this is just going to be some heavy downpours and some cloud to ground lightning and below the severe limits. All right, so here's our severe weather outlook for the rest of today. And you can see it does include the western half of West Tennessee, but only in the 1 out of 5 risk. And then here's a look at tomorrow. You can see it slides east. Now, there's no magic. Nobody's going to get missed by this severe weather outlook. What's happening is the weather graphics update at midnight. So, it kind of makes it look that way. But no, basically, you could draw all of West Tennessee in the green if we were doing a map just for overnight tonight. and which is a low end risk, 1 out of 5, but there will be some storms out there. So let's take a look at our outlook. We'll start with the outlook over the area, just the general outlook. And I'm going to back this up. We'll take a look at today. So there you go. Some of those storms will start moving our way. That second round that's developing for later tonight, it'll approach the western counties, Ridgely, Lake County, I should say, to Dyer, western portions of Lauderdale, Tipton, Shelby by around 11 p.m. tonight. And you'll see that line of storms coming our way as early as about 9 o'clock. We'll be able to see that very developed on radar, and it'll be back off to our west. And you'll see that on Futurecast here too. Now, overnight, those will continue to push through the viewing area from west to east. And the target window is going to be mainly from 11 p.m. to the west. And then they'll be exiting out of the area, out of our eastern counties like Benton, Decatur, and Hardin by around 5 a.m. in the morning. So from 11 to 5, that's our time window for the more numerous showers and thunderstorms. All right. So that's for the rest of this evening. Let's kick ahead to tomorrow. And there you can see, hanging on to those eastern counties, 1 out of 5. But again, we could put all of West Tennessee in that 1 out of 5 green there. It's just the difference in the maps, the update at midnight, so to speak. Then they get a little further east. It's going to be hotter because the sun will be up higher as they get into Middle Tennessee, and that risk will start to climb back to a 2 out of 5. So be aware of that if you're heading over that way tomorrow. All right, let's take a look at categories. So here's the outlook for this evening. Now there's the tornado risk, and it does not include West Tennessee. There's the wind risk, 5% in those brown areas. That's 5% wind damage risk going on there. And then here's tomorrow's outlook, 1 out of 5. Tornado threat, you can see, does not include us. The wind threat, there it is, 5%. So really, if we were to fill all of this in, you'd have about a 5 to 10% risk of damaging winds throughout all of West Tennessee overnight tonight. The good news, it's going to be while a lot of people would normally be sleeping. The bad news is it is coming through late tonight, and some of us will be staying up, I know, monitoring the weather. All right, so let's take a look. We'll bring in Futurecast. We're going to head through here's afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a few showers, but it's really still, most areas are dry until here's 8 o'clock, starts to go downhill, 9 o'clock, but not real active until about 11 o'clock. Here's midnight. That's the bad stuff right through there. Here's 2 a.m. And then right in here's 3 to 4 a.m. in the morning. And then we're going to roll towards 5 a.m. And you can see most of the storms are completely out of here by about 5 to 6 a.m. So we'll let this run through one more time here. It's going to continue running for the rest of the day Saturday. And I will say most of Saturday looks dry after we get those big storms out of here in the morning. So here we go. So starting off into the early afternoon, right here's noon. Here's 2 to 3 o'clock this afternoon. Just an isolated storm or two north of I-40. Most of us stay dry until we get to around 11 p.m. That's when it really cranks up. Look at that. North of I-40, very active. 11 p.m. through midnight. Here's 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. along I-40, and then nears the Tennessee River by around 3 to 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. here. Most of the showers and storms move out of here. So I thought you'd find that interesting as well. And here's the overall threat. Again, just as you saw, it's a damaging wind threat is moderate. The other features are low. So the large hail threat, it's not 0, but it is lower, and lower than it was last weekend too. And the tornado threat, while not 0, it's only going to be about 1% risk for our area. So, you know, while it is a severe threat, this is the lowest one we've had over the last several. All right, so that's a look at what we can expect there. Here's your hourly forecast. We'll crank up today thanks to that warm front surging across the area later this afternoon. I think we will wind up about 91 during the peak of the afternoon around 4 or 5 o'clock. But then the cold front comes through and it's going to drop us right back down in temperature just in time for the day tomorrow, for our Saturday. So there you have it, 20% risk or so of an isolated shower storm, mainly through about 7 o'clock tonight, and then that chance goes up. And it'll wind up about 70% by the time we get to about midnight tonight, 70% odds of a shower or thunderstorm. And most of the storms will be out of here by around 5 a.m. in the morning, and that chance will drop from about 70% off to about 30%. And then once we get beyond about 9 a.m., we're down to about 20% odds for the rest of our Saturday. It's going to be a pretty decent day there. All right, so here's our weekend forecast. Again, an isolated storm or two possible during the day today, but most will stay dry until tonight. The target time of those strong storms will be from 11 o'clock through about 5 a.m. So 11 o'clock tonight, they approach from the west. They move into the westernmost counties near the Mississippi. They're around 11 o'clock, and they'll continue pushing through the area from west to east through about 5 a.m. Once we get through that time window, though, things will start to gradually improve. Here's a look at our 7-day forecast. Notice only 81 degrees for Sunday. That's because that tightly wound system, we get the warm front lifts in today, so we go back out of the upper 80s. We're going to be right back in the low 90s briefly today. Cold front swings through on the backside of this overnight tonight. That's responsible for our storm, 72 tonight. And then we'll only go up to 86. On Saturday, we'll continue to pump in cooler air throughout the day out of the north and west, and we'll drop down to about 70 for Saturday night. Sunday really looks great. 81 for the high, and while we do have a lower end chance of a shower, most areas will still dodge the rain. 68 for the overnight low as we head into Monday. And look at those temperatures, not too bad. Mid-80s on Monday, upper 80s on Tuesday. Back to the low 90s, middle to end of the week. All right, guys, that's a look at your weather. We'll be replaying this throughout the afternoon, but we'll also have additional live updates coming up as well concerning the weather. Thanks so much for watching West Tennessee Weather Channel. And as always, as the storms start to approach late tonight, I'll be here and we'll be tracking any of those storms well ahead of time. You can join us on Roku. We're always live there, YouTube and YouTube TV, and we'll also stream on Facebook. If it looks like it's going to get kind of bad, we'll be on there too. And be sure and send us your reports and messages as those storms approach your area too. We'll be interacting with you. All right, that's going to wrap it up for now. This has been meteorologist Brian Davis for West Tennessee Weather Channel. Take care.
We are West Tennessee Weather Channel.